And hey guys, it's me, Casey and Elle. Welcome back to the Naked Truth. We missed you guys. So much has happened. We took last week off because it was so much with the elections, and I think our emotions was up, down. It was just all over the place.
All
And I was just like, okay, I'm not gonna be able to do a live taping because we spent like the. I felt like it was the longest Tuesday ever. It felt like those 3 or 4 days was the longest Tuesday ever. So with that being said, we took a week off and now we're back. Guys, we're gonna sit here and we're gonna talk about some things that's relatable to I guess everybody because family matters is a concept for everyone. It's not just us, it's also the community, the people that you build a family relationship with. And I just think that this is something, a topic that we don't really speak on that much. We are all dealing with I want to say a new normal, and that new normal is scary, honestly, because we don't get to hug each other. We don't get to do all of those things that we used to do with each other, and it's kind of, you know, it's kind of weird, honestly.
it's
To
very,
say the truth.
it's
You
very,
know, exactly.
yeah.
We was talking about this kind of earlier today. Remember, El, when we were sitting here saying we didn't when we started this page, because El helped start the page, guys. For those who don't know, and when we started this page, we didn't think that one, we didn't think that it was blow up as big as it did,
That's a
right,
blessing.
El?
Yes, that it by itself is a blessing. So
It,
yeah,
much blessings. And we also did it in the beginning time of COVID, where we didn't think that COVID was going to last that long. So the page was blowing up. We was enjoying the conversations, and then it kind of wind down, you know. And that got me to thinking that we have over 500 members, but we don't do a mental check.
yes,
We are all doing, we are all living and trying to provide and do what we got to do in the midst of quarantining and the COVID and, elections and all of these things. But I don't think that we do a mental check. So when we say family matters, we're speaking on our mental matters, our family, the community within the WOW, the words of wisdom, the naked truth here, our family members, our friends that we consider family, and all of those, that everybody put in those categories. What do you think?
I think you're absolutely on point with it. This afternoon, boys, we ran out um to take care of some business, and he's 11, he's a hugger, loves to hug, and he went to go. He wanted to hug the lady who he just we don't know strangers. Let me just say it that way. And he wanted to hug her, but she was like, "No, like no," and I was like, "No, don't hug her." And he was like, ear hug," but he got so close still to give her an ear hug. And I know my son, he loves to hug. So I was like, if you want to hug somebody, you have to hug me. Like I am the your only
Like every time you want to hug, just hug me.
right. Like I'm your only hugger at this point because COVID is real. Um, it's scary.
It's very scary.
It's sad. It has stolen lives. It has changed the way we think, the way we move, the way we do things. It has really polluted the earth. It really has. And not only has it polluted our mental capabilities, our mental um, well being,
Yeah,
but it's done. It really just crippled in such a way.
I agree. I mean, and it's getting worse. Like we all experienced it and thought that it wasn't as bad as it was in the very beginning because they had the rumors that black people couldn't get it. Then all of a sudden there was a rise, a spike in black people, and then it was a spike in hospitals, and then you got those naysayers. Oh, all of that is fake news or this, that, and the other, until you actually know someone that experienced it and who
Exactly.
went through the process of it. And it's scary because it's not just COVID season. we got flu season, you know, so COVID and flu and all those other sicknesses that come in while in the wintertime. Because COVID came what around spring,
It came.
so
Yeah.
you know it was bad. It was really bad because the hospitals and everything was overwhelmed. But I think from what is presenting to us, it's going to get worse during the winter seasons. And we're tired. We're tired of being in the house. We're tired of not being able to um, hug each other, be around each other. And now the holiday seasons is coming in. It's so much, and it's just it's a it's a strain on our mental
It is.
for especially for the kids. I mean, you saying you have what you said he's 11, right?
11.
11. Could you imagine the little ones, the 5 year olds, the 3 year olds? That's really, you know, when he was 3 or 5, he was probably still going around hugging and not understanding that you can't touch this person, you can't hug this person, you can't do this, and we're interrupting their childhood.
We're
We're
putting
interrupting everything.
that should never be restricted. And that's the
Mhm.
that is like confusing for children, because not only are we restricting them now, but it's going to be so normal because it's their it's in repetition. So then it becomes natural to them. And then what it's doing is it's causing a separation to their emotions as far as
Mhm.
I'm concerned. And I think it's also doing that with us grown up. You
Mhm.
know, COVID has so many, of course, different feelings within. I myself was supposed to have went to a party last,
Mhm.
and I'm going to tell you, it, I wanted to go because I were the people that was throwing the party,
Mhm.
but I am one, not a mask wearer. I hate them.
Mhm.
Two, I don't want to have too many drinks and start laughing on themselves in my face or around top of me, because after if I see 5 people in a cluster, that's too many people.
Mhm.
Matter of fact, I don't even want to see a cluster. I get very nervous. I get my anxiety high. I just can't function, or I'm ready to
Right.
flip out. I'm
That
just
and honestly, I'm fearful. I love being around people. I love people, but I'm so fearful because I'm gonna tell you, I'm not one to be 100% healthy. I don't know if I'm sick, but because of so many, I'm aware of the things that people in my family has passed from, have obtained out of, by aging. We have heart disease, we have diabetes, we have cancer. And my biggest fear of going out and obtaining, you know, however it may be, getting COVID is not being able to survive it. You
mm,
know, there's a lot of people that's capable of surviving it. I saw a video earlier today where this nurse, she said she's seen 30-year-olds die and 80-year-olds live. She's also seen 80-year-olds die and 30-year-olds live. We can't put our age bracket, we can't say
mm, mm.
who, what, when, and where. We're not the ones to pick if we are capable of handling it. And that's the scary part.
I'm agreeing with that. No, it's so funny. It's one thing to hear what a nurse may say or read what is said in the paper or a column, or whatever the provide to you. But to have friends or loved ones or people that you are close to in some form express what they went through when they had COVID, you get to understand personally, one on one, what it can. I knew one who caught COVID, and he sucked up, like his face sucked in. He was a crackhead. He lost
Mm.
a tremendous amount of weight. It was just very scary and sad. And then someone else had it who went to work every day.
And that's the
COVID,
scary part.
functionable, able. He had that already hospitalized for other ailments he had, but COVID did not affect him in that manner, where it affected the other individual. Then I know someone else who is on a ventilator currently, or just got off the ventilator, and he's an old man. He was like, it's like the devil knocking on your door, or not the devil, but the creeper. Like, you
Right.
ready to die? No,
Right, and that's the scary part
that's
because we don't know, and
right.
and every time it's like you every time you go out, you're looking around, you, you hear somebody cough, that's like the death sentence right there in
Right.
public when you're going out to the grocery stores or anything, and to prevent yourself from even feeling that anxiety, we just don't go. It's my thing is I'll go to the grocery store, I'll go a little here, a little there, but I'm not putting or subjecting myself to being around a lot of people.
No,
And that's scary to me because the numbers are hiking up. I have a friend of mine who is currently incarcerated, and in their prison they tested 105 people. Only two tested negative.
how about that?
Two negative, not two positive, two negative. Scary.
That's very scary.
And we know that they didn't get it, from being outside or being because they stopped people from visiting people in prison back in March or May. And so we
Early
know that
on,
that
they
has to be
stopped.
somebody, yeah, somebody from what is it, the correctional officers coming
Hmm.
in and getting the inmates sick. Now, what if that's happening in the nursing homes? What if that's happening, daycare? Because you could be asymptomatic, and here you go, your family, friends, and everything is you're being around them and not knowing. I had family members who literally obtained COVID and found out it was because family members came to visit them.
Right. Loved ones coming and carrying it to you. I first I do is feed me and my employees an array of immune build.
Mm-hmm.
I buy a lot of building things. So vitamin C is awesome. Vitamin
Mm-hmm.
D is amazing. Zinc,
Mm-hmm.
elderberry.
I drink my elderberry tea almost every morning.
Right. So I actually make my elderberry syrup, and we do shot glasses, double shot. So they tell
Awesome.
you to take a tablespoon, but I'm like, bump a tablespoon these days. You need double shot. So
Let me just eat the whole bag of
right.
elderberries. I mean, you have to literally, and honestly, when you do that, you cater to your mindset as well, because your mindset is what also makes this illness even more scarier. Because we can see what's on the news and we know what we're going through with our family and friends, but our mind will create a story. If you don't know the middle of a story or the end of the story, your mind will create it for you. And
Uh,
it could be the worst case scenario or, a very optimistic way of looking at it. But because of the way the things are in the world, it automatically goes to the worst, you know,
of
just
course.
to keep that fear there. And that fear is real, because that's your intuition saying, hey, don't do it. Well, yeah, we just got to be extra cautious, especially with our young ones, to be in and out. And to me, I got young adults, and they're out in the world and coming back, and I'm like, oh Lord, please let them be clean, from the
Right.
COVID,
Right.
because
They're,
like I said, I don't want to get sick.
I think they're
Hmm.
very aware of what's going on. So
Hmm.
they're gonna intentionally thing. Obviously, nobody's gonna intentionally do it to hurt their members nor themselves or their loved ones. I agree with that. But you just never know.
Right.
You just never know. It's too easy to catch it and not
Hmm.
how you caught it.
Right. And that's the scary part. But
That is
now, with all of that, here's where the kicker's going to come into play. And we're going to speak more of this next week. How are we going to do our holidays? That's a
mm,
question that I want all of our Facebook followers to actually think about. Because we love our families. We love our families very, very much. But when it comes down to something that the unknown, do you still attend family functions? Do you create new ways of having family, outings or family gatherings? And of course, everybody knows that family is more than 10 people because I cook. I feel like I cook more for 10 people every week, and I got 4 kids, 4 young adults in my household.
Right.
So 10 is nothing. 10 is like just my cousin and her kids
Yeah,
coming over. It's nothing, but we're so used to big families.
yeah. So for the last few holidays, I usually go to New York. Thanksgiving is New York, Macy's Day Parade, you know what I mean? And hang out with my nieces, my nephews, my sisters, my brothers, my mom, everybody. We're just all kind of cramped into this. Of course, New York is a very small apartment, or a condo or whatever.
Right.
All cramped together on top of each other, laying on top of each other, sharing the couches, whatever. And
Right.
we can't do that.
Mm-mm.
We can't do that. Money
And
fly
that's the
for
sad part.
14 days if you.
Who can stop life for 14 days?
Nobody.
And I think that right there is the biggest problem that we have because, I do think that if we was to just quarantine 30 days, let's say 30 days, but people can't do that if we close ourselves in the house for 30 days, but the landlord still want their rent, you know,
Because bills,
the
you know.
bills still got to get paid, and that's where the government, I believe, is really not looking at the bigger picture. You say close down and everybody stay in the house and we spray the streets, but when we open up and go back into these streets, those bills accumulated for that 30 days or whatever time frame it was, and now we're backed up because we didn't work, so we're not getting paid. You
Well,
know,
I have a theory on that, Kiki, if you don't mind me saying.
no, please.
The last night I read an article about China because I was very curious about China. Where are they today with when it comes to dealing with coronavirus? Do you not know China is living their life? They have opened up their world. They are living where they're not seeing cases on a daily basis. They don't have any surges. They don't have first, second, third wave. They're just living their life. And I'm gonna say this: the reason why they're living their life is because when this first came out, it was a blanket quarantine, and it
Mm.
was enforced, and it was serious. And I believe most countries outside of America, United States, did exactly that. Someone said they can't hear me.
Yeah, I think you do. You have a set of headphones because I think you're going in and out for the
Oh
review.
no, I don't.
Maybe you. I can hear you when you speak up to the phone, close up to you.
Oh, you know what? Maybe because I have to hold it.
Probably.
Oh,
Let's
that's
see.
horrible.
No,
Okay,
you
I'm
can.
sorry. So China. What I was saying is, China has it where they're now living their life. Everything is fine. The pandemic has passed them, and we're continuously, America, United States, is continuously fighting, trying to figure out what is our best result or our best situation to make things happen. And for me, I just think that to be the most impossible thing. Now, of
Right.
course, if we were to shut down for 30 days, individuals will definitely, they won't be able to survive. I was at the barbershop yesterday with my boys, and I was like, do you think that they're going to mandate another shutdown? He said, if they do, it'll take me out. And
And
that's
that's what I was
happening.
speaking about. Right. If they when they stop us and keep us in the house, stop the bills and stop the collections of everything else. That's the problem, is that everybody's so worried about the economy and not the people. We're not realizing that
Right.
the people make the economy. You
That's
know.
why I like China. China's not a democracy, but they cover their people. They look and think of their people in a whole. And I mean, there's a lot of people in China. China's super overpopulated. But however, they make sure they cover their adults and their children. This is the only country that does not cover our adults and our children. They look over their adults, they cater to their children. They have parades for their children. You know what I mean? The generation prior to the elder takes care of the elder. We're here, we throw them in a home, we forget about them, and we throw them away like trash.
Right.
You know, so it's like, to me, when you look at all those things, and I'm sure it's a very debatable topic, and I'm good with a debate when it comes to that, because I've done my research and I know factually what I'm saying.
Right.
However, when we look at it in the sense of what can we do to make us better, to get rid of this uncomfortable pandemic, we do need a shutdown. But we need a blanket shutdown, an enforced blanket shutdown, for us to come back in 30 days and say, okay, we no longer have this issue. Now, as far as the economy and the government needs to absorb that.
Mm.
There should be no bill, no a continuous collection, no, oh, you could pay us later. It shouldn't be none of that.
Right.
It should be 1 month, everybody free everything. No forbearance, no deferments, no assistance if you need it. None of those things. Just a mandated shutdown in its entirety. Everybody still gets paid. Okay, you're a self-employed individual. Whatever you were paid per your profit and loss on a monthly basis, we will stipend that to you. You don't have to pay it back, but we want to continue for you to get your income. Everything just needs to stop, basically.
Right. That's the same thing that I said. If everybody, if they shut down everything and stop every form of income or all that is needed for others to survive, I think everybody would be on board. The reason why so many people are against the shutdown and stuff is because of their way of life. They're fearful of losing the way of life, and that is so scary. You know, I agree with you. I think everything should be shut down, including the accumulation of money. You know, if we wasn't so money hungry, we would probably be cured of COVID right about now.
Absolutely.
You know? And look at New Zealand. New Zealand was they pretty much living their lives as well, and that's because they took a big strong hold on COVID. They took it seriously.
There was a sacrifice made, and the sacrifice was, we're gonna have to lose on something to gain back our freedom. You know, bills are no longer is null and void for the 30 days of the lockdown. You know, your income, you will still receive that because there's some type of a stimulus. I think it can be done, but it has to have some structure and some common sense and some care behind it.
Right.
And that is where the problem is. I mean, through it all and all Trump said, and I'm happy that the stock market is good. I'm a mortgage loan officer. I thrive when the stock market is good. However, people have literally they stole lives from people because of you worrying about the stock market. You know what I mean? I have a girlfriend who lost her mom. You know, and I'm sure there's a lot of moms that had just passed away, or dads and grandmothers that would have lasted well over 10, 15 years, who died because they cared about the stock market more.
Yeah. Yeah. It's sad. And
it's very sad.
While we speaking on all of that, another thing, my cousin, she posted something that was very interesting. She was posting something in regards to people. She's a nurse, and she was identifying how people are not telling when they are sick, or advising when they, when they're not advising or telling when they have COVID. So they're passing it on, and it's like they're hiding the fact that they got COVID, like it's some kind of secret, because they're embarrassed, as if, like it's a sexual transmitted disease. And the whole way of obtaining and containing this virus is to let it be known. I know that there's some jobs allowing people to come in sick because they worry more about what you're capable of doing than you yourself. And they don't want you to get tested. They don't want you to complain about being sick or identify. They try to tell you, oh no, you just got a cold. Don't worry. Go ahead and do your job. And they go home and give it to their family members, and they might have obtained it at work. Unemployment is sky high, in which we still got to take care of those people as well. And even though there are jobs, people are really scared to death to going back to work. So the thing is when you do have COVID, it's okay to let it be known. It's not your fault. You didn't, unless you did go to that party with a little bit more people than recommended,
Right.
then that is your fault. But at the end of the day, we don't know how it, you can, you, we don't even know, like, there's so many ways of getting COVID. Like they say, okay, 6 feet. Then they say 10 feet. They say sneezing and coughing. We don't know. It's new. So you getting it.
I'm sorry, Casey. Hold on. Did you say sneezing and coughing?
Sneezing and coughing. They said sneezing and coughing, you get COVID. You look at somebody, you get COVID. It's like nobody knows exactly what it is that we're doing to get it from each other. We could touch a doorknob. We open and close doors all day long. I get offended at the fact that we have to tell people to wash their hands. We have to tell
I
people to wash their hands.
have to, because you should know to wash your damn nasty hands.
Right. Now, washing your hands, hand sanitizers, I don't know what they're doing with the toilet paper. I really don't. And it's just that.
Wow, I'm running. Gotta go look.
But we really, but that's the thing, is we really can't, we don't know. So with you telling that you have the virus or had the virus or even have symptoms of the virus, that's helping not only those that are studying this virus, identifying exactly where, how, what, when, and why, but it's also informing your family and friends. 14 days, they say you be fine. There's people who pass after the 14 days. So we're not even sure if that 14 days is a legitimate amount of days. The best thing is to just let it be known.
Good.
We just need to let it be known. Even if you're not sure you have it and you feel like it, be mindful. And that's the hard part. Nobody's being mindful. And
I think what happened is, and I think about this all the time, and I don't want to consume my thoughts in code or what I believe life and death is in the power of the tongue, and what you believe you will believe. So I don't want to continue to consume myself with COVID and what's going on with it. However, I do believe that people are tired.
And that's what it is.
I think they're just fed up. They're tired. They're like, if I catch it, I catch it. If not, oh well. That kind of attitude. Or they're hyping it up more than what it is. And whatever it may be, that people are finding their excuse why they can go out and be comfortable and normal.
Right. But then when something bad happens,
then what?
Nobody takes accountability for their own actions. That's the reason why it's detrimental that the sitting president is not acknowledging this. Because if something happens to those that follow him and do what he says, then they don't blame themselves. Although we have common sense can get you but so far for those who don't know how to set accountability. And that's where the problem lies. People don't want to be blamed. They don't want to be the reason why grandma passed away is because Damon went to the party with his cousin. Only because, well, the president said it's not that serious. But we are all seeing 200,000+ people have died.
Oh no, now people are saying, I was on the phone with a girlfriend of mine and I'm not even mad. I will blast her. And she was like, oh, I think they, elevating the numbers more than what it is. I don't think so.
Yeah.
I don't think so because I read another article where they were saying that they have nowhere to bury the people that have passed. You know what I mean? What do? They don't vanish in the air. Their souls, they still a body
Right. And that's the sad
at
part.
large.
And that's where I think that cognitive uh, dissonance. I think that's the correct word. I might be incorrect on pronouncing it, but they see all of these things that are actual and factual, but they still go with the lie because it makes them comfortable in being selfish in the world that they are creating for themselves.
Justification.
Justification.
Yeah.
And no matter how many, and that's why I stopped arguing with a lot of people. I've honestly have deleted a lot of people as my friends because of this. I call it stinking thinking. You know, um, regardless, we might not see eye to eye on the presidential, with the election. And everybody saw that I was I was a strong Biden um, supporter. And it was only because I wanted to get who the person in the office now out. I didn't see him being fit.
Biden and his electoral votes, and he'll be inaugurated in January. How do you feel?
I feel great. I'm hoping that his 4 years can give us enough time to um, give him another 4 years, but it all depends on the Senate. The president has made it seem as if hospitals. Yeah, it's a possibility. But
It's
hospitals are not getting paid more. I've seen a lot of the doctors and nurses say, why would we get paid more? They're working extremely hard and they're sacrificing themselves. Do you watch those like um what are those medical series on TV? All of the medical series actually are coming back on. This is the season for them to come back, and they're all addressing the topic of COVID.
or communicable diseases. Yeah.
Mhm. And the reason being is because a lot of people believe TV more than they believe what is actually going on because you can't tell the truth
Let's not
anymore.
call it TV. Let's call it Tell Your Vision.
There we
Oh,
go. Tell your vision.
I'm sorry, I said it wrong. Not Tell Your Vision, television.
So people believe that more than what anything else is being said.
Yeah.
You know,
A lot of people didn't want to vote Biden because they said race taxes $400.
a lot of it, right. And see, that's where I found it funny with the $400, 400, what is it, 400,000?
4,000 or less.
10 people in your family together still ain't get the 400,000. So it's no reason for you guys to be worrying about tax increase on us.
That's a
My
common.
thing is, we go, here's my logic behind all of this. Okay? Every president, we have increase, decrease, increase,
I've never
decrease.
seen anybody decrease taxes. Have you ever heard about that?
No.
Exactly.
And
You're always going to have a tax increase.
somebody said, well, what about the gas prices? Gas go up. Let me tell you something. Every time I go to the gas, I don't care how much gas is. I'm putting only $20 in the tank, and that $20 is going to get me to the next $20. I care less.
But
I
that's
just wanted somebody that was rational minded in the office.
But that's economics. So if you've ever had an economics class 101, it tells you the gas prices will always go up. It will always fluctuate. And that's based off of oil and consumption. You know what I mean? So it
That
is
ain't got nothing to do with who's elected and who's
no,
not.
no, it
You
doesn't.
know, but at the end of the day, the behaviorisms that the sitting president is showing the world identifies exactly why a lot of people voted, even Republicans voted against him. And I had a discussion post when I asked, "Are is it is there a difference between Trump supporters and Republicans?" Because a lot of people thought that I had a problem against Republicans, and I truly don't. There's
No.
some things in the Republican um, campaign that I really agree with as Republicans and conservatives. I just did not like Trump. My
You,
thing was Trump.
remember the other day? I don't even want to talk about Trump because he rubs me really wrong. I know I can't say what I want to say because they might, tag, what's the word? Trigger words. And I
That's
will
your trigger.
word. So I'm not gonna say what I feel about Trump. So I'm gonna just kind of skim over that. But do you feel that oh boy, what was I gonna say? Do you feel that in this day and time we have to worry about a Trump situation more of when it comes to racism and the moral code of people because he's in office and Biden comes, you think that it will change
Mm-mm.
the climate? Or is the
Here's,
climate stay the same? Like, or is it going to level out? What do you think?
I mean, it's not a movie where, they switch presidents. The next, everybody's taking off their mega hats and stripping off of their racism and everybody's singing Kumbaya. No, I personally believe that the issues that created this diversity that's going on in, with all of these race related issues and it's Trump basically brought it out. He brought out the racism from people we didn't even think that was racist.
I
You
know.
know? But he brought it out. And what I think everybody's expecting of Biden is not that he could control it. It's now you see that it's there. What are you going to do about it? What are we going to change in our democracy that is going to stop people from behaving in this manner? It's not that he's going to be, like I said, the kumbaya president. We know that he's not capable, and a lot of people wants to bring up his past. But for me, he might have said everybody. I'm gonna tell you honestly, everybody has said something in regards to racism in their past because a lot of people did not understand what was going on. The crack era, anything. But he has been the only man that I've seen in politics that said I was wrong. He said I was wrong. And who are we to say, well, just because he said it, he okay, no other president has identified that they did something wrong. One, and two, we are human beings. We have ability to change. Y'all speaking on something this man has said in 1994 when we have a sitting president identifying the same thing that he spoke on in 1994, but it seems to clear everybody's mindset
What
because
about all that he said in 1991 when it comes to the 5 young men from Central Park?
right, and
Right.
he still can't, you know, this is one thing I like to say for us as people. Why don't we put ourselves in their shoes? That they are living in a country where a man who wanted to kill them for a crime that they did not commit was their president. If I was in their shoes, I would be scared to death to wake up every day to know that this man who refused to accept that I'm innocent is president of the United States of the Americas.
And is
So
now
to
president.
me, I look at it like that. I look at it, although those children at that time were the age we was all around that same age bracket. I look at that story and say that could have been my son, that could have been my nephew, that could have been my brother, my uncle, anybody,
Yeah.
and their lives, a portion of their lives was taken for false news, fake news.
Fake news. And he was part of the fake news.
Whole newspaper article.
Yeah.
So those are the things that helped me make my decision in who was president.
Who should become president?
Right. And it, like I said, it wasn't a political thing, and somebody else had stated that as well. It wasn't a political thing for me. It was to remove the cancer because that cancer was spreading. Now,
Oh,
I'm
it has
just hoping
spread
that
it. I don't
Biden is going to
right.
be our chemotherapy for that cancer
I pray.
because I mean, this election that just passed, Donald Trump nearly won. He nearly won, which identified how many people was in that same mindset. That's scary to me. That is scary to me. And here's another fact that I found out from watching all of these educational shows and all of these documentaries is that those people that make over 400,000 a year, the business owners, those are still not the people that's going to be taxed because they don't work. They own the companies. The money is just fluctuating from one place to the next. So they're not really going to be paying taxes. It's going to be those CEOs, the ones that work for them that make over that amount of money. And those are the ones that are friends with the businessman that we have in office at the moment.
That's right.
That's right. You know?
You notice everything that has gone on in a series of events that happened that has been a very negative situation with America. The one thing he always says is the stock market is good. I mean, it's almost saying that my family is falling apart, life is a hot mess, but I still got a job and I make good money.
Yeah.
So everything around you could fall, but as long as you got some dollars in your pocket, you should be okay. Now, I am the first to stand in line and tell you, money makes life easy. Money, I want it to love on me and be there for me because I love money to take care of my household, my family, and the things that I want in my life and need. But I will not put money ahead of everything else before me. And that is what he has done. And that is the scary part. That's the part that makes me more nervous.
This is true.
I agree with the senator part. We have to really look at more of, forget the presidential part, but we have to look at the local levels. We have to look at who's behind us now. And I think a lot of people were so focused on Biden, Trump, that we didn't look at the local levels. Who's our new judges?
Right.
Who's our Supreme Court judges that's been put in place? Who is our senators, our governors, we have to really look at those parts, the House of Representatives, because they're the ones who call the shot.
Let me tell you, what you're saying that on TikTok, I seen a couple of videos. I found them funny, but it was very interesting because they were funny, but they wasn't funny. It was like an oxymoron to me because there was a lot of young people who went and did a video, a TikTok video saying, okay, I think I failed the test. I only knew 2 people on the ballot. I didn't know who all those other people were. I failed the test. We all going back to slavery because I done picked the wrong people. I did eeny, meeny, miny, mo. And it was like multiple videos. And I'm like, that is funny, but it's not funny. Because like you said, the local government, the local seats that were up for grabs, they didn't know. And a lot of people didn't know that the Senate and the Congress seats, like Senate seat is every 7 years, Congress seats is every 2 years. We may, as Democrats, probably still have the Congress seat, but we're on like this with the Senate because if we don't have the majority of the Senate seats as Democrats, nothing that Biden can do, just like Obama got that wall, and Mitch McConnell, which I was so devastated with, when Mitch McConnell won again. Okay, again for I think the 7th year. This man has been there for almost 30.
Not about our people because I think it's that they hear the name so much
that they're familiar with that person
and they assume that's the right pick.
But that's the problem. See, I'm very, very proud that people went out and stood their ground and voted. The thing is, like one of the guests stated, we have to now do the work. We have to now that we know that our voices can be heard, now we need to be knocking on doors and ringing phones like, hey, what's going on with systemic racism? What's going on with police brutality? What's going on with unemployment? You said I voted you in. You got this amount of time remaining. Give me an answer that is sufficient. It don't have to happen overnight, but at least a sufficient answer. And all of us that promoted and helped those that got in office, we're the ones. That's our responsibility to make sure that those people who are not aware and not familiar with who's in office, like I literally, me and my daughter, and I'm just going to give us a little pat on the back because it was a strenuous work, but we did it. We identified who was running in our states. We've identified if somebody said we don't know who's in our state, we looked up and we put that information out there for them as well. So those are the things that we have to do. Right now, the whole world is depending on Georgia. The whole world is depending on Georgia. Now, let me tell you something about those two Senate seats in Georgia. The two Republicans, when they went to, and somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but when they went to the coverage for COVID in the beginning, they went to the meeting, the government meeting, identifying what COVID is and this, that, and the other. Meanwhile, they're all saying that it's nothing serious. They went to those meetings and then they turned back around and switched out their stock market, inside trade. The same thing that Martha Stewart went to jail for. They turned their profit, so because they knew that they was about to lose money due to this virus. But those are the ones that's running for the seats in Georgia. They told us that there was nothing serious, but it was serious enough that they removed their money. Now, like I said, I'm not a politician. I just pay attention to a lot of political things because I like to be knowledgeable in what I'm doing and who I'm voting for and who I'm advising others to vote for because I want to make sure that I'm giving the right information. Look it
Right.
up. You know, Georgia, we need you guys to help us get those two seats because if we get those two seats, Biden can put in place everything that he has stated in his campaign, him and Kamala Harris. But we have to do our part. We can't sit there and say, okay, we voted for him, now what? Here, we still got police brutality. We still got this. That's not his job. I mean, it is his job, but it's not his job because, like you said, the local seats is who we need to go and say, listen, this is
Those
what you're in office for.
local seats are the seats that move they're the pawns. They're the ones that will move things on the map. If
Right.
you have a loved one who's incarcerated and it's wrongful, that's who you reach out to. You reach out to the local level senators. You reach out to those representatives that covers that state or that area to really make things happen. And if you don't know who they are, or you pick the wrong person for office, there's a problem. And it's a
Yeah.
problem for a length of time because they don't turn up so quickly. So, we have to really be mindful. And this is, of course, a conversation we had all the way up until the election.
Mhm.
Um, I don't know, but going forward, what are we going
Right. And it's like you said, it's our job. You know, so
to
that's my input on that.
Casey, I don't think that we as people understand the importance of the local level. I don't
Right.
think we understand how they can be the turnkey of good or bad within our own personal household or in our community. I don't think we as people realize the importance of the local level. The presidential, yeah, but not so much.
Right. And
It's
that's what I'm
really
saying. It's like when legislation and the laws passed, those executive orders and stuff like that, they have to go through the Senate, the
right.
House. And let me tell you something what I found out. If let's say the president because they do ask the president to sign off on it. Everything that they come up with, the local governments come together and say, hey, I got this executive order that I want to put in place. They discuss it on the government floor and all of these things, and they bring it to the president. The president says no. You know what? They could pass it anyway. So that tells you how important that seat as the president. The president is the commander in chief. You know what the commander in chief is over? The military.
Right.
The
That's what
government has so many branches, and it's so sad that they 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 win off of our ignorance.
I think they need to put back in place the electric company. You remember the electric company when we were little kids
You
on
Schoolhouse
PBS?
Rock, Schoolhouse Rock. They
Yes,
definitely need to
House
do an
Rock,
updated
girl.
version of it because honestly, that information was very valuable. I'm just a bill on.
Sitting on Capitol Hill.
There
Yes,
you go. So that was very useful to us.
it
But
was. It told
we
me
forgot it because as we got older and lived life, we
yeah,
never. It was like so sometimes on Saturday, and then next we don't know it no more.
right. Because they snatched it away because it was given to acknowledge to the people that should not have that knowledge. And I was looking at my son. My son said to me, my 11-year-old said to me the other day, "Mom, he wears hearing aids, right? You know, mom wears hearing aids, and he does needs to hear. He believes that he can hear everything, but now that he's 11 and he's really coming into um, being himself, he's realizing that he does need his hearing aids because he is missing words, and I'm not going to try to embarrass him at all. But what he said to me was, Mommy, I don't know. And I love this about him is because he takes accountability. He wants to be better. And he made me think. He said, Mom, I don't know enough words. And because I don't know enough words, it slows me.
Oh,
But I feel like he gets his education, he gets the things that he needs. But I believe he's missed a lot of words. And because he's missed the words because of his hearing loss, he's kind of in a hole where he's like, I'm oblivious to the things that's really going on. And that takes me to what I'm saying that's is the people are in. Yeah, we all don't wear hearing aids, but think about it. We really kind of do, because you miss a whole lot of stuff.
well, I'm gonna tell you now. I know this from the election that recently passed because they had something on our ballots regarding the amendment regarding. Um, it was more of redlining the city to identify the different areas. And when you say words, they play on words.
Yep.
And this is for all of us to understand. We all have cell phones. If you see a word that you are unfamiliar with, it's nothing wrong with looking up that word and educating yourself on that word. When I went in to vote and I voted early, I took my cell phone. It wasn't a test for them, it was a test for me. So I wanted to make sure that I was getting my answers correctly according to what I felt my children needed, I felt I needed, and I voted for all of you guys what I felt. And that's what voting is, what we feel is best for us as a whole.
Be in a hole.
So I literally had to look up like 5 or 10 words out of this little passage because they tried to use so many big words to confuse those that are not familiar with those words. So here's the answer to those little issues that they have. Familiarize yourself with those words. It's just as simple. They always said this thing where if you want to hide something from people of color,
Put it in
put
a
it in
book.
a book.
Yeah.
We've all heard it. And it's honestly, that's how it was thought. People who were slaves were killed because they knew how to read.
They begged to read. They wanted to read. They took chances on their life to learn how to read. And
Right.
it's so funny. I was talking about it the other day. Back in the day, I had to walk 10 miles to go to school and was good at it. Proud of doing it. Didn't feel like it was a problem. Did it in the
Mhm.
rain, sleet, and the snow. Okay, they did it. And this is
Right.
our people, black people. And our ancestors did that. But now, today,
We got comfortable.
too comfortable.
And
We
that's
good to
why.
we're too good to go the extra mile. We're too good to understand what a specific word is. You walk around with $1,000 phone and you don't
And
understand
a fifth grade education.
and you can't define certain words or understand what they're really saying. So you play like you do because you don't want to look like a dummy. You ignore it
Right,
And
and that's and
right.
I honestly believe that with that being said, you have to want to know.
Mm-hmm.
You have to want to know because a lot of people don't want to know. You know, when they say ignorance is bliss, it really is. And some people choose to live in a blissful mindset because it's too much. It's
It's,
too much. And when it's too much, they depend on other people to make those decisions for them. And
mm-hmm.
that's where that accountability comes into play because you know who they depend on? They depend on people like us. They depend on people, you know, entertainers. They depend on whomever they look up to provide them with what they should do.
Mm-hmm.
Now, just think of how much power you would have if you depend on yourself to educate yourself on the things that is important for you and your family. To me, that is the best thing that we can actually do for ourselves and everyone else is educate yourself. And what
Absolutely.
you don't know, ask. If that person don't know, ask somebody else. This is what
Absolutely.
this platform is actually for. It's not to sit back and agree or disagree if you like white people, if you don't like white people, if you think dating this way is better or dating this way is better. We have brought tremendous amount of information and we've opened up a tab for counseling, for
Mm-hmm.
mentorship.
Mentorship. Yep.
And I can tell you, only one person have posted on there stating that they're willing to be a mentor. Out of 500 plus, we have one person saying that they're willing to mentor someone else. I'm
Okay.
always capable of mentoring, and I understand there's no time and what the time thing, but you can't say that you don't know when you have access to everything. There's no such word as don't know to me
No.
because you have the access. Even if you don't utilize that mentorship, use your cell phone. You use it for everything else. Why not use it to look up words? I have an app on my cell phone right now. Every day tells me a new word that I have no idea what this word is, more or less. They even have to tell me how to say the word and the
Right.
definition of the word. And I try at least before the day is over to utilize some of the words are so crazy that I'm sitting there like, I know I'm never going to use this word a day in my life, but I might go to Jeopardy and I might go and I might get in a conversation because I love networking. You never know.
Right.
But that's an app that I chose to put on my phone outside of Candy Crush and all of these other things. You can actually help educate yourself more. Lack of education to me is an excuse.
It's a
It's
big.
an excuse. You don't even have to go to college anymore to obtain an education because we have www, the World Wide Web
But
on.
World Wide Web, I felt like it was so imperative to self-read, self-put myself everything. I
Yeah.
have. I sat down. I honestly took time to learn more, more, and I don't think that a day should go by where you don't know something new.
Mhm.
You
My
ignorant
grandfather
is
used to say
good.
that.
Doesn't make.
My
I don't
grandfather
want
used
to
to
be.
say, if you don't learn something new by the end of the day before you go to bed, get the dictionary out and find a new word. But you need to make sure you learn something new every
Every
day.
day.
And that's that's
Don't know
that's the truth. You know, I love knowledge. When I was a kid, I hated it. I hated school. I hated all of those things. But when I realized that knowledge is my key to the door to the world,
Yes.
I mean, I've traveled, I've researched. I love learning other things. I love reading books that helps me obtain more knowledge. And with all of that and learning new people, I'm starting to appreciate life so much differently than just being stagnant in the world that was only around me. We have such a bigger world that we actually all can be a part of. We're all family. I mean, honestly, when I did the DNA, I found family members contacted me from Scotland. Okay, and I had like maybe 10% Scotland blood, but that 10% Scotland blood contacted me, invited me to come and visit Scotland.
Curiosity and understanding, knowing and knowledge and history is everything. So that's a beautiful thing. It's such
Yep,
a thing.
that is true.
Absolutely.
Yes, and I was so shocked. Like it took me like a good hour to 2 hours to respond because I was like, I had to go and look at my DNA matches and say, oh yeah, he is a match, you
Wow.
know. And he reached out to me. My picture's up there. It wasn't like, oh my God, I got black folks in my family. He was reaching out to me saying, hey, we're family. You probably would like to come to visit, and if you ever want to know about your Scotland family and your Ireland side of the
That
family,
and I think that's so sweet and wonderful.
it is. But that's how the world is. We are all connected.
Well, absolutely, we are all connected, and that's the part that confuses me the most about people.
Hmm.
Black and white, shooting somebody down just blank at range. I don't understand how it's so easy to do that, and we're so connected. If I look at you as a stranger and across the room, do you not know we connect spiritually in some form or fashion? So how is
Hmm.
it so easy to just take another visual out? I mean, I can answer the question as well as I've just stated.
Ask it, right?
I definitely can, but that's not the point.
Right.
My point is that we need to understand,
And bring
acknowledge,
awareness.
and yes, and continuously aware that we are all, and
Hmm.
not consider another person less than or beneath to justify why you don't show love.
Right. We need to just start doing it.
Yeah,
Just start doing it. Here's my thing, and I'm going to leave. This is my last thing that I would advise everyone. Do something nice for someone that you don't know. Start
absolutely.
there and pay it forward. Pay it forward. When you have a little extra, you're in the drive through, pay for the person behind you.
Paying it
Just
forward.
start doing nice things and make it your something that you plan on doing every day. It doesn't always have to be spending money. It can also be holding doors. It could be in anything. But we just got to work together because just as much as hate is out there, there's just as much love as we like I said, the numbers were so close. It's scary because the numbers are close, but just as much as they're showing the hate towards others, race, gender, sexual preference, we have just as much love. And if we show that much love to other people, it starts spreading like cancer.
Absolutely.
And that's what we need to do is just start spreading love. And that's why it's family matters because we all matter. We all matter. And if people start understanding that and start believing that and start living by that, regardless of religion, preference, gender, race, anything, we don't all have to be the same to accept each other and love each other. That's the reason why we should love each other because we are different. Because
Absolutely.
everybody needs to be in the everybody is unique in their own way, and that's the part that I love speaking to all my friends and all my people my family because everybody is different and I get something different. They little golden nuggets that they implanted me. Like every time when I talk to you, Al, me and you, like I know it's already past our hour, but me and Al could go on and on and on and on,
Not
because the conversations are so real,
yes.
so that's what I want to leave. El, is there anything that you? Yeah,
I agree.
I agree as well.
Facebook. I do agree. Um, what I would like to say is it's so funny that you and I have had this conversation this evening because when I woke up this morning, every morning, let me just put it this way, every morning I wake up, I say my affirmation, I do my meditation, and I ask for positive energy to be blessed amongst. And I reached that we have a family group chat, and I'm sure most of us do group chat with our family, right? And I sent out a group chat or group text, excuse me, for my family, just sending a lot of love and just acknowledgement and letting them know that they are continuously thought about. Because you don't do that often enough. You said that early on in the conversation, Casey. We do need to do not only just a mental check, but a love check. You
Mhm.
know, hey babe, how are you? I miss you. Are you good? You know, there's a lot of things. Not only people are being stolen or taken off of this land, but we're losing patience. We're losing love. We're losing mental stability. So many things we're missing or losing. And I just honestly want to say that I challenge everyone to do a few things this week. And what I challenge you to do this week, wake up this every morning and give yourself 5 wonderful affirmations about yourself, what your day look like. I want you to send love to those that you don't like so much, who may have given you a hard time. And I want you to get up in the morning and show love to some stranger, a person you don't know. As Casey said, pay it forward
Mhm.
and express to them they should pay it forward.
Right.
So we have some challenges on Facebook, 5 picture challenge.
Let's have a pay it forward challenge.
Right, let's do a pay it forward challenge.
Hashtag pay it forward. You know,
Exactly.
I honestly, look, and here we go again, but I just wanted to say this because it kind of piggybacks on what you said. On TikTok, there was this cashier at Burger King, and the person paid for, that's where I kind of got the idea from. The person paid for the person behind her, right? And she was like, I'm just paying it forward. The person behind her was like, "Oh, that was nice. Well, I'm gonna pay for the person behind me," and it just kept going and kept going. And the girl, the cashier, was like amazed how many people who did not know each other at all did that. And I'm gonna tell you, I somebody paid for my food one time, and I let the car in, and they was from Texas or what have you, and they paid for me and my children's meal. And the lady at the cashier, she said she wanted to say that's what Texas people do. They do it big because my bill was big. It was I have a lot of young
Kids.
adults at that time, but my bill was big. It was like 30 something dollars, and I was like, oh my god, So I was like, I'll pay. How much is it? Look, how first? How much? Because I didn't know how much I had. I was like, yeah, but go ahead and take it, and that was just it. And I never looked back on who, what, when, and where. It was just do something good. It's going to resonate with someone even if they don't pay it forward in the line at Burger King or where have you, they might, in their heart of hearts, do so. I've done it even paying for people groceries,
Yeah.
especially when I see them trying to get up the change or whatever,
Right.
and I have it,
Yes.
I pay. And it's not for me to pat myself on the back. God,
No.
I do a lot of things that I don't express, but it's just like these are examples that you can do these things and other people will pay it forward as well you know, and they see the kindness in you. Kindness is just as contagious as hatred. In fact, I
Absolutely.
think kindness is more contagious than hatred.
It is. I
So,
think that if we give more love to those out there, the more love will come back. I am a
mhm,
continuous lover. Like I love people. I love doing things
mhm,
for people. I love my family, and I show it in any way, form, or fashion. It's not something that I have to force myself to do. It's just the compassion in it, and that's
right.
because I know a different level.
Mhm,
I just know of a different level, and I want people to know of the different level because it's so necessary, and
right.
it just can change someone's life just by saying good words. You look nice.
Mhm,
That might have just changed their whole trajectory for the
right.
entire day. You know,
Right.
or God bless you. Something just so simple will change everything in another human being. And that's where our all connected comes from.
Mhm,
Not only just blood, brother, sister, cousin, auntie, niece, blah, 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 but just spiritually connected. So I hope that people understand that they do matter.
Right.
and that we are all connected. And if we did a DNA check and case study, you never know. We might all be still yet and all connected.
All
So
connected.
yeah,
So with that, I thank you for sitting in and talking with me today. I thank all the viewers that connected with us and that resonated with the things that we said. And I just want to say, you guys have a good day, and we shall meet you guys back here next week.
next week. Mwah.
Bye.
Bye, Casey. I love you.
Love you too.
Bye, Pam.
Bye.
Love you.